It's okay as long as we plan for it. I feel like it's fine. So maybe you aren't making as much money as you thought, or maybe your expenses are more than you thought, then you just adjust your budget, okay? You adjust your budget to reflect what it actually is. Hi friends, welcome to Moms and Money, where we talk about managing money, making money, and saving money for the women in the household. Today we're going to talk about budgets. We haven't talked about budgeting in a while because we've been talking about lots of other great personal finance content, especially when it comes to making money and investing. But I think it's important that we check up on our budget. You know, if we're not doing that every month anyway, it's definitely important now because we're almost halfway through the year. So if you're new to my channel, I am a big fan of zero-based budgeting. That's the type of budgeting that I do. It's basically where every single penny that you own has a job and it has a name. So you pretty much tell all of your income exactly what you want it to do. Now, if you're new to budgeting, I created a whole budgeting playlist all about how to create a budget, whether you like pen and paper, or if you're like me, if you like to use Excel, you can tap this I right here to watch it. So go ahead and get started. Or you can download my free zero-based budget in the description box, the Excel template, or you could purchase some of my budgeting templates. I have tons and tons of budgeting templates so that you can just get started right off the bat. Now that we know what a zero-based budget is, it's important that we make sure that it's up to date. So a lot of times this time of the year where the weather changes, we start getting busy. Of course, we're still in the middle of a pandemic, but it's starting to ease up and get better since so many people are getting vaccinated. And so we have more freedom now, it seems like, than what we had a year ago, thankfully. You know, God is good. But at the same time, we want to make sure that we are staying true to what our budget is, that we're keeping up with it, that we're reconciling it each month, taking the time to do those things. Because if you take the time now to do it, then at the end of the year, you won't be going crazy when it comes to Christmas, or you're just realizing, well, where did all my money go? If you keep on top of it now, it will make things easier for you. So the three things that I like to look at right now when it comes to my budget, the first thing we're going to talk about is your income. Are you making the amount of money that you anticipated making at the top of the year? So at the top of the year, I usually plan out our entire budget. I plan out exactly how much money we're going to make, and from there I plan what we do with that money. Like, this is how much we're going to spend on our mortgages, this is how much we're going to spend for our expenses, this is how much we're spending for sinking funds. A lot of times these are just educated guesses. I have so much data that I use. I've been doing it this way since 2011, so I have a very good understanding of how much money we spend on certain things. But of course, unexpected things come about that you can't control, and so that's where you take the time now to kind of adjust your budget. So you should ask yourself now, when you're looking at your annual budget or you're looking at your budget month to month, are you making the amount of money that you thought you were going to make? If not, you need to adjust your budget for the future months, for like June and all the way through December, to reflect the amount of money that you think you're gonna make. So if your income varies, it's a little bit harder, but what I like to do is just take an average, or I like to take the least amount that you're going to make and budget for that. And then anything extra, it could be put towards savings or your sinking funds or anything like that. But you wanna budget for at least the bare minimum of what you're going to make. And again, anything extra is just, cherry on top. But of course, we don't let that money just sit there. If you make extra money, you need to assign that to a sinking fund or long-term savings or investing, anything like that. So definitely look at your income to see how you're doing. Maybe it's spot on. You're making the exact amount of money that you thought you were going to make. And so that means, you hopefully have spent it the way that you plan on spending it. Okay, so the second thing I like to look at is your expenses. So are your expenses coming in at about what you planned? Are you spending the amount of money on food that you anticipated? Are you spending the amount of money on your mortgage or your rent that you anticipated, or your light bill or your water bill? Are all those bills what you planned? Are you spending more in a certain area? Kind of look at that and analyze it and say, okay, why am I spending more? A lot of times, like the prices of food right now, it's like crazy. It's skyrocketing. So, that's something that maybe we didn't anticipate back in January, but now that it's happening month after month, it seems like, at least for me and my family, we're spending more on food because food prices are just going up and up and up. So that's something that you need to take note of so that you can update your budget to reflect what you actually are going to spend. Then the third thing that you need to look at are your sinking funds. Are you planning and saving for your sinking funds as you planned? Again, that depends on how your income's looking and how your expenses are looking. It's okay as long as we plan for it. I feel like it's fine. So maybe you aren't making as much money as you thought, or maybe your expenses are more than you thought, then you just adjust your budget, okay? You adjust your budget to reflect what it actually is. Because there's nothing worse than having a budget in your head that you think you're making this amount of money and you think that you're spending this amount of money, but it's something totally different. Then that makes your budget useless. Okay, the key thing to have a successful budget is if you actually take the time to reconcile it. So if you take the time every month, take 20 minutes, 30 minutes tops, okay, every single month to go through all of your expenses, to see what you're spending your money on. Where is your money going? Is it going where you thought it was gonna go? If you're having a hard time doing this and it's really overwhelming for you, that is when I suggest maybe you try the cash envelope method. That is where you have a set amount of money that you wanna spend and put it in a cash envelope, and that's what you use for your groceries, for your gas, just different variables, for your extra spending money, for your eating out money, or just miscellaneous fund if you need to run to Walgreens for something. That is how you can control exactly how much you're gonna spend, is if you use your cash envelopes. I know cash envelopes doesn't work for everybody. I personally don't like using the cash envelope method for everything, but when I feel like things are getting a little out of hand, like we're spending way too much, I will take cash out and put it in my cash envelope and say, okay, this is the only amount of money that we're gonna spend on groceries. It forces you to really look at each price and not just kind of be flippant with your card and just spend it because you feel like you need it. You know, so it forces you to question, okay, is this something that we really need? Is this something that we're really gonna use? Do we need it right now? It kind of makes you plan out your spending a lot more. So that's my suggestion if you're having a hard time actually sitting down and reconciling your budget, because again, that is key. It's hard to believe that we are halfway through the year, almost halfway through the year at this point. We're in the middle of May and it's wild. It seems like, you know, 2020 was long and short at the same time, and now 2021 is just going by so quickly. And it's a blessing that we're all here, still here in 2021, because so many people lost their lives. There were so many injustices in 2020 that it's very sickening, and it just feels good to feel like we're kind of coming out of that and just remaining positive. And I'm just praying that God continues to bless us all and guide us on this journey, especially financially. Many of us maybe received a stimulus check, or maybe you received a tax refund, and that's a blessing. And I just pray that God guides us to spend the money the way we need to in order to elevate us further in the future. You know, not just look at short-term goals, but look at our long-term goals. So if you did receive a stimulus check or an extra stimulus check that you didn't plan for, make sure you account for that in your annual budget. Because at the end of the year, you want your annual budget to be all the money. You want it to include all the money that you made, all the money that you spent. So you can kind of take a high level look at, okay, how am I doing with my spending for the year? As opposed to looking at it month by month, you want to say, okay, this is how much I'm making, this is how much I'm spending. Because at the end of the day, your salary does not define how much income you have. Okay, your salary is basically just the money that your job, or if you're self-employed, whatever you make, whatever you earn, that's just the money that you earn. But your income is defined with how much of that you spend, how much of that you saved, how much of that do you invest. Okay, that's really where it comes into. And so that's why I feel like having an annual budget helps you to understand that a little bit more. It helps you to realize, okay, where is my money going? Am I using my salary to make me more money? Am I using my salary to stretch further, to accomplish my financial goals? You know, so those are the things that you can ask yourself when you sit down and you look at your budget. So this is a good time of the year right now to kind of assess what you're doing, make the necessary changes you need so that you can accomplish the things that you want to accomplish. So I'm starting something new with my channel. It's called Real Budgeting with Gia, or Real Budgeting with Moms and Money. And if you're having a problem with your budget, Okay, and if you're having a problem with your budget and you want some advice, now not like overall financial advice, like what I should do, because I'm not a financial advisor, but if you're having a problem with your budget, like how to allocate certain things or how to set up the zero-based budget, email me your issue and I would love to review it on my channel. Of course, all of your identity would remain anonymous and I would never share your personal information. But if you need help, this would be a great way for me to showcase different scenarios, because I speak from my scenario and what works for me, but I know we're all different. Maybe you've come across something that you can't quite grasp or you can't quite understand how to incorporate it in your budget. So definitely email me. My email I'll put here on the screen or it will be down in the description box, and we can talk about it, and we can have a real budgeting series here where we talk about different things so that we can help one another. This is a community here. We love one another. So that is it, my friends. Prayerfully, everything is going as you planned for this year. I know it's hard and sometimes unexpected expenses come up, but that's why we have sinking funds. That's the power of sinking funds. When you set those up properly, you'll always be covered, especially if some sort of short-term emergency or expense comes about that you didn't plan. The goal is to always be able to have that cash on hand to cover it. Now, some things are out of our control. Absolutely, I understand that. But for the things that we can control, it's important that we save, and that 3 to 6 months worth of income is definitely key to help us get there. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. It really helps my channel out. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.